from the Pain PT, and I have another recovery story here today. Very excited to share this, and really, really honored to have Louise on the computer with me here, all the way from the UK. So awesome you came on. Thanks so much for coming on today to share your story.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we worked for a while, right, with using some of these principles and approach, and I think what we want to do is just have you share your story a bit from the beginning, and then we'll kind of go through it to where you are now. And I'll just ask you some questions and so forth. But yeah, go ahead and start letting us know where you came from and where you are now.
Yeah, right. Well, I think it's probably helpful to say that I'm actually, like yourself, a physiotherapist, have been for quite a long time. I won't say how many years, I'll give my age away. So that in many ways actually made it actually more difficult for me, what happened, although a lot of people would think it would be easier, but it wasn't the case. So I had actually for a number of years had intermittent back problems, which was called facet joint syndrome, because I had degenerative changes in my facet joints, and I was able to deal with that really, and I tended to get manipulations flared up a couple of times a year. I didn't think too much about it, and I was quite happy that I was able to deal with it. But just out of the blue, and it was the August 2018, I just was meeting friends, and I got out of my car and was walking towards meeting them, and I got really tight, gripping pain on the back of my upper leg. I hadn't really ever felt anything quite like it. It was kind of like almost a cramp, but I knew it wasn't a cramp. And immediately I was, oh gosh, what on earth is that, and being very analytical, because that's how you work as a physio, I was trying to think, what on earth is that and what's caused it? So, I thought, well, it's a sciatic pain, but I was just quite baffled by it because it was so odd. And it didn't actually go away. But it was mostly when I was out, but it was very sharp, but it was every day, particularly when I was out walking. And I remember, sometimes I had to catch a hold of a wall because I was walking my dog, and it just caught me so severely. And that kind of troubled me, the severity of it. And I had decided at this point, I had no injury, no trauma, but I'd been at an outside concert, about 5 days before, and standing for maybe 7-8 hours in one kind of spot, really not moving much. And I decided, I've obviously irritated my back, and the facet joints, which are the joints at the side of the spine, and it must have, building a story around it, it's irritated the nerve root, my sciatic nerve, and that's it. So I just got on with doing physiotherapy, basically. What I would do, by this point, I'd been working on my own practice. I'd left the NHS in the UK. And so I did what I would do with patients as best as I could. And nothing, it just didn't make any difference whatsoever, which again, kind of, I thought was very strange that there was no improvement.
How long had you been doing the physio for at that point?
Sorry, how do you mean?
So you were having some physiotherapy for it, right, your back, but it wasn't getting better.
Yeah, well, that was probably about a fortnight, and I would have expected with what I was doing. I went away on holiday, so I'd been doing, it was just mostly exercises for a fortnight, and I went away on holiday, and it started to improve on holiday, and I thought, oh, that's it, it's running its natural course, that's absolutely fine. And I got back home, and it just slowly got worse and worse. And I got more and more concerned and bothered about it, because really I wasn't getting a lid on it at all. So I went to an osteopath that I would see with about twice a year with my facet joints, and he gave me a manipulation, which always sort of sorted that out. I realise now that was TMS as well, but at the time it didn't. So I went to him, and couldn't see a lot of difference in my back, but manipulated it, and there was no change. So I went back again a few weeks later, because sometimes you need 2 manipulations, and again just didn't help at all. Nothing, absolutely nothing helped. And I was getting more and more concerned and perplexed about it. And then I tried some acupuncture. And now we're going into where you would say it was almost becoming chronic pain. And that concerned me as well, because I knew it then became a whole different ballgame to get settled. So I had acupuncture, and again, it just had no effect whatsoever. So I asked, that was well into the autumn, I asked my doctor, you know, if I could have x-rays, so I could actually just see what was going on.
Yeah.
And she realized I was struggling, and she decided that, you know, I should maybe go to the orthopedic clinic, and they sent a referral in for that. And I thought, well, there's no harm in that, you know. And in that time, my son came across Dr. Sarno on the internet, and I had heard of him, I'd heard of his book, but I hadn't read it, but in my private practice, I had thought a few times, I must read that book sometime, you know, because I knew it was a different take on treating back pain.
How long have you been having the back pain for before
By then?
You got Sarno at that point?
Yeah, well, it was August, and that would have been December. So, you know, it's about 4 months.
Okay.
So I got healing back pain, and I devoured it, and I thought, that's me. He's describing me, you know, and you know, aspects of myself. And I thought, crikey, this is unbelievable. So I mean, he deserves a sainthood, really, doesn't he?
He does, actually.
Yeah. So anyway, I started following. There isn't an awful lot of, you know, he doesn't really have a lot of advice on, you know, do this and do that. But I did follow, starting to write about stressors and so on, and very much followed his advice on moving, because I got stiffer and stiffer by this point. In fact, in the mornings, I had two dogs. I had problems feeding them, you know, just bending up and down. I was so stiff.
Yeah, that's when I had seen you in the beginning. Remember getting out of bed in the morning? You literally couldn't get out of bed in the middle of the night.
I couldn't. I actually couldn't. And I did at one point have 2 elbow crutches, and really thought I was going to have a wheelchair as well. So I followed his advice, because one of his stories was about a lady, you know, that had come into him, and she couldn't walk, and she was literally crawling. And he was saying, well, what are you doing that for? You know, there's nothing wrong with you. You know, get up and move. And so I thought, you know, that's what I'm going to do. So I started to see an improvement, certainly my mobility, and the pain was definitely down a bit. So I felt really, you know, enthusiastic and optimistic that this is it. I'm going to get better. Not a boot cure, but definitely on the road to recovery. And then I had my orthopedic appointment in the January, and my x-rays hadn't quite come back, but it was actually a physiotherapist who assessed me. It was a triage at the clinic, and hopefully, because I was physio, was flippant. I wouldn't like to think it was like that with everybody. But he said, oh, well, you'll have, I'll lay money, you've got gross degenerative changes. You know, I think you've got stenosis, which is narrowing, coming out the side of the spine. And he said, you know, it's just going to get worse, and there's nothing much you can do. Just keep moving. You come back to us when you can only walk 300 yards. And then
physio should lose his license, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I kind of staggered out, you know, kind of just so shocked, because stenosis for a physio isn't a particularly good diagnosis, because you are more limited what you can do. And so I went away with that, and I deteriorated, because I couldn't get it out of my head, you know, that, you know, my x-rays came back, and I did have osteoarthritis in the facet joints. And I thought, well, that's it. Obviously, the nerve roots are being squeezed, and I've got this awful pain in my leg, which is getting worse. And,
That really set you
yeah,
back. That time with that physio and the X-ray really was like a nocebo response. It sounds like it really got into
dreadful.
the brain.
Yeah, and he was quite enthusiastic about the fact it would get worse. It was incredible attitude. I think he was friendly and everything, but he'd no idea the impact he had on me.
Yeah, that's really important to note, right? Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah,
healthcare people, potentially well-meaning, but they really, really impact people. And hey, it's good for his business, I guess. If you're just going to get worse, then you'll come back every year. I mean, not that he's
yeah,
thinking that, but still,
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. Although this, of course, isn't private. So, I mean, this is NHS.
Okay,
And really, they should be encouraging you to get better
right.
because they don't want the patients, the volume
Well,
of
I mean,
patients.
if you're a chiropractor, your whole business model is built on people continuing to come back forever.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah. Well, I kind of got myself together over a few months and thought, well, I've got to do something because I've always been the sort of person that copes, and I think people with TMS do, don't they? Um, so we cope really well because we get on with things. And at that point, I discovered, just looking on Amazon, looking at books, chronic pain, etc. I discovered a physiotherapist in the UK called Georgie Oldfield, and her book, Chronic Pain, Your Key to Recovery, and it very good reviews. And of course, I was attracted because Georgie herself was a physio, and similar mindsets. And I thought, right, I'll get this book, and it's a wonderful book, and I would really recommend it. Because it covers the aspects of TMS and case stories, and then it gives you, which some books don't do. And believe me, I think I've got every book there is in the market because I kind of devoured as much as I could to try. And I was looking for the answer. It had to be there, something I do that will make me much better. But anyway, this was a great book, and she has the tools at the second part of the book, very comprehensive, how to journal, and the different aspects, and that's just terrific. And then through the book, I discovered the organisation that Georgie founded called SIRPA, which you in fact are a SIRPA trained
Georgie's
practitioner,
fantastic.
Jim.
I'm going to give a shout out to
Yes,
Georgie right now. Maybe she'll listen to this. She's fantastic. Yeah, I've been over a couple of times to train with Georgie. It's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, exactly. She's just wonderful and so genuine and caring, And yes, so I decided SIRPA have an online course, which just really takes what's in the book, but actually it's more detail and more help, more for you. And I decided to do that. So we're getting towards maybe the June of that year. And I thought, right, I'll do the course, and that's great because I just felt I had to keep working at this, because I wasn't really getting any better, but I was hopeful. I've always been most of the time hopeful.
Yeah.
However, there was a big emotional trauma in the family about that time, and that did affect me. And after that, I was worse, and also I started to have what we would call a pelvic shift. My spine deviated to one side. I mean, I had been diagnosed with a scoliosis as well, but I mean that had never troubled me. So, but this was a definite, and I think Dan Buglio talks about he was jacked up to one side, and it was very similar to that. My hips went right over on one side, and it was muscle spasm. Really, it was so tight on one side, but of course that increased the pain and also moving about. And I just couldn't. I couldn't straighten it, and the going out and about. I mean, I live in a small community, and people know who By this time I'd stopped working, in fact, because I felt I had to just focus on myself. And, you know, and people would say, gosh, you know, can you not make yourself better? And, you know, why are you not doing your own physio? And it was awful, really, because I felt, I did feel a failure in some ways, and I was angry with myself. And of course, all these things were making it worse, but I didn't really fully take that on board at the time.
Were you using a walking stick at that time? I can't remember.
Yeah, yes, I was. Yes, I had to, or a walking pole. Yeah, I did struggle. And as the day went on, it was a pattern. I had pain all the time, except I wasn't too bad when I was sitting, but the rest of the time. So first thing in the morning, I was dreadful for a few hours. And then I kind of eased up a bit. But then in the afternoon, as the afternoon went on, it just got worse and worse till by evening, I could hardly move. And through the night was a disaster zone, because I think one night I had got up and it was very, very painful moving to the toilet. And it put a fear in me. Oh my goodness, you know, I can't get out of bed. And when I got back to bed, it was just excruciating. And then after that set that pattern going, that I just I really couldn't get up through the night. And that was with 2 elbow crutches. It was dire, really dire. And if I turned in bed, it was just, the pain was dreadful. And then it lasted for ages till it settled. So I really was in a bit of a predicament. But I worked away with the Serpa stuff. And I got Howard Schubner's Unlearn Your Pain. But the trouble was, I went right through Unlearn Your Pain, and it's a day by day for 28 days, but obviously it can take longer. But I think the thing was that I was doing it mentally, but I wasn't connecting with the emotions really. So it was all very well writing, yes, this happened to me in my childhood, and that was bad, and this was bad. And I thought, right, I've done that bit and put it aside. But I just wasn't emotionally, I just didn't connect with my emotions, you know. And I'd been like that for so long, it was just the way I was, you know. So I just kind of carried on like that. I tried some hypnotherapy, and it helped. On the day of the hypnotherapy, I felt much better, and then it just came back again. So really, that didn't really make a lot of difference. But I wasn't. I just sort of bobbed along, and I thought, well, you know, I'll find something. I was collecting books, you know, on TMS and so on.
Bookshelf of TMS books.
Yeah, sorry.
A whole bookshelf. I like a whole bookshelf of just TMS
yeah.
books.
And the rest, actually, you know, read them all and thought, yeah, you know, this sounds really good, but I wasn't really fully applying. And I needed something that gave me. With Serpa, it was you can try this and you can try that and so on. And for me, I felt I needed somebody to say, oh, well, you do this, this, and this, and you do it in this sequence. Now, I totally understood why Serpa, the program was like that. So there was not a pressure on you. And I understand that. But for me, because I'd been so used to giving people very definite instructions, you know, I was kind of looking for the same myself. I did have a session with Steve Ozanovich, so I got his book, and that's a wonderful book, The Great Pain Deception. And it was just, you know, it fed my soul really. And it was a wonderful session with him, and he's just an amazing guy. And I was very inspired. And it's a long session, you know, he doesn't direct you on what to do. And he very much believes that you heal at the time you're meant to heal, which is not really what I wanted to hear at the time, but I actually do believe that now. Yeah. That it's a journey, and we're finding ourselves, our true selves, not the self that we build up and put out to the world, but really who we are deep inside, you know, and strip away all the other things. So so it did help. And I went forward with that, just doing, you know, what I could. And had done journal speak as well. I think I did everything.
You did everything, Louise. You hit everybody, all the big hitters in
Yeah,
the field. You went through every, you know,
I
yeah,
did. I
which is
really
great
did.
though, which is
Yeah,
good. You were really
yeah,
dedicated
yeah.
to doing
But
all.
journaling just wasn't great for me. Again, wasn't really fully connecting with my emotions. But anyway, we got to the January of the next year, and of course, I was a little bit better, but and I was kind of just getting on with it. But I listened to Dan's interview, your recovery story at the beginning of the week, and you know, I can completely relate to when he said how bad things were. Yes, I could relate to all of that at the darkest moments. It was not living, and could see no point. And if it hadn't been for the people around me, I just don't actually know. And it still makes me feel emotional, you know, thinking about it, because it was really bad. And I could never have conceived people suffering that much with something like this, you know, for all I had treated people over the years. And in the January, February, and that was really this, we were just in the brink of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We had some shattering news about someone in my family, very, very close to me, who has a life-threatening illness. And that was terrible shock and very traumatic. And I plummeted, really. I got quite considerably worse. But again, we had to just get on with it and work through it. And of course, we were then in isolation and shielding him because he was in chemotherapy. And but very fortunately, my daughter was furloughed from her work, and she started coming regularly, and she'd go out walking with me, and I had to take her arm or sticks, but she walked much further than my comfort zone, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep up with her, so I just went with her, and I realised that it wasn't making me any worse. It might be sore afterwards, but the sense of achievement was great. And I believed in myself again, you know, and I thought, well, you know, I can do that. And that was terrific, you know, and, you know, our company, when we were out, it kept my mind off, you know, the fact it was painful. So that was a big thing. And then we were in lockdown, and Georgie Oldfield decided to have a small group of people doing coaching sessions every week for really, it was about 3 months through the lockdown period. And I was fortunate enough to get on the course, and we met once a week, and she covered all aspects of recovery and recovery stories and questions and answers and ways of dealing with everything. And we gelled as a group, and we carried on actually ourselves as a group, and we're good friends and we help each other. And that was wonderful, the whole experience. And that really helped me so much in so many different levels. And at the start of that, I decided, you know, I'd seen you because you did a presentation once for, I think it was a SIRPA conference, and I had watched you on YouTube and your channel, and I could really relate to you, and I knew you would understand it as a physio the way I felt, because I saw things physically. And I just always had this thing that maybe I couldn't get better because it was structural, you know, and how much was structural and how much was TMS, you know, and I had difficulty, and one, it pulled me back. I knew it did. And anyway, I decided to get in touch and have a session with you. And that was brilliant, because I then had guidance and I had direction from you, which I needed. And I trusted you, and you understood. And I think it just opened the way. And as you were saying, I remember, I think it was the second session, I had great difficulty standing up, particularly later in the day, and I was all twisted and bent, so I didn't go out. And later in the day, I wouldn't go out. And you got me to stand up, I remember, and I felt awful because I thought, oh, I look so awful. And you know, and you got me to keep standing, and you said to me, well, it doesn't matter how you look, just do it. And I thought, yeah. And you said, go out, you know, and go out later in the day. It doesn't matter. The important thing is you're doing it. And I knew I'd developed fear avoidance, you know, that I had just become, it was easier to sit. I mean, I knew that. So I thought, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I did. And I just went out, and it was so liberating because I was being myself. And okay, I was like this, but it really didn't matter. The important thing is I was looking to myself, and that was a big thing, I think, you know, in helping me to go forward, you know. And so I think I saw you fortnightly, and then we tackled the emotional side, and I had to again face up to the deep emotions, and there was a lot of those with what I've had in the past, but also what I was going through. But for the first time, really actually acknowledging them and allowing them and feeling them, and just feeling them in my body, and just not being frightened, you know, not pushing them away, because as you said, they're just emotions, you know, they're not good or bad, they're just emotions. And so I stopped having a fear of that. I stopped having a fear of moving. And about the same time, I thought, you know, this is holding me back, this physio thing that, oh, well, maybe it is a bit structural. And I thought, I'm just going to let go of that. And I'm going to focus that it's TMS, and that's it. I'm not going to have that angst anymore. And that was big because I lost that fear as well. So I think it was letting go of all of that and accepting myself, you know. And so each session we had was a step forward. And I would have said and there was ups and downs, you know, but I would have said by the end of the year, so started seeing you maybe sometime in July. And by the end of the year, I would say I was about 85% better. I was going out with my daughter, and she had become pregnant, which was lovely news, and it was a much wanted baby. And we were going out, and I obviously wasn't going to take her arm anymore, and she still went on these very long, brisk walks. So I was taking my poles, and I went out with her one day, and I thought, this pole, I was tripping up on it because it was really a nuisance. And I thought, I don't need this pole anymore. So I just chucked it over a garden wall and carried on. And we went on a very long walk, I have to say, up a hill, up hills and up a wood, and a real pace. And of course, me being me, I just didn't want to say to her, oh, you know, so I just kept up with her. And it was just great, you know, because I had very little symptoms at all. And with the sleeping, I had, you know, you had said to me, you know, just accept, you know, how you are. Don't resist it. Don't worry about it. And that's exactly what I was doing. And gradually, I couldn't move in bed because it was so painful, but gradually I was starting to move and just hold for a little while and then move back. So I was moving into the the difficult bits just little by little. And then I was walking outside without support, and moving about much more freely. In the March, I did have an emotional trigger, and I had a flare up, and it was very, very bad, probably about as bad as I've been. And I actually emailed Georgie, and I managed to get an appointment with you. Were very, very kindly saw me very, very quickly, because I was desperate. I couldn't sleep, and I was in probably about 8 or 9 out of 10 pain. It was dreadful. And Georgie very kindly, I got a lovely email back telling me how to calm down at night. She was going off on annual leave, but she sent me an inner child meditation to do through the night, because I just couldn't sleep at all. And then I saw you, and you know, your advice was to, you know, we dealt with the emotions, and you know, when I was lying awake, to just really lie and accept it and be calm. And I did do breathing. I was on the Curable app as well, so I did the panic button, you know, the breathing, but really just I would lie and say, I accept this, it's okay, you know, it's fine, I accept this, I'm safe. And I could feel it calming down. And little by little, I think in a session with you the following week, and it was definitely calming down. Wasn't right, but so it took about a month, that flare up, to completely settle. But at the end of it, I would have said it was about 90% better. So actually, the leg pain had got even better when I managed to calm down, and I'd got, you know, I just got my system settled. And then I had a little grandchild, a little grandson born, and of course that lifted everybody in the family, and he's just wonderful. And yes, that was just wonderful. And I did actually about that time have a few sessions of acupuncture, because my blood pressure had been a bit troublesome, and I've had acupuncture in the past for blood pressure with success. And I did say to her, because one of the many books I had was The Hidden Psychology of Pain, and the doctor who'd written that, Dr. Alexander, had said that you could get acupuncture points that actually tapped into the amygdala and might be helpful with pain. So when I saw the acupuncturist, I said, well, you know, if you could do that as well as the acupuncture, you know, it would be fine. But I didn't go because I didn't need to actually for the pain. You know, I wasn't bothered. I had, you know, I had about 90%. I was 90% better. So, I mean, it's more than I could ever have dreamed of. You know, I was just hoping to get the pain down to maybe 2 or 3 out of 10. And I thought I can cope with that. So the fact it was less than 1 out of 10 was like, you know, I couldn't have asked for more. But I thought I might as well say, you know, since I've read this in the book. So I really don't know. I think I was just ready for the pain to completely go, because, you know, within probably Kian, my little grandson, being born, maybe within about a month, 6 weeks of that, I was out one day and I thought, I actually don't have any pain at all. It's gone completely. It's completely gone. And it gone, you know. And as I had often read, and I think Steve Zanovich says, when it went, he didn't notice it to begin with. And, you know, when you're reading that and you're in a lot of pain, you think, well, that's impossible because it's so bad. Of course, you'll notice it, the pain goes. But actually, I had just stopped bothering about it. I was practicing, you know, complete indifference, outcome independent. And I actually didn't notice, you know, that I'd gone till I actually drew myself up.
So true, because people forget, like even people you work with go, remember that pain? People forget to even share the story sometimes about it because it's gone. It's like, it's not even there anymore. You just forget about it, right? You move on with your
Yeah,
life.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Now I do have, I have in its place, I have anxiety, and I have stress in my life, and I know my stress levels are up, and that's to be expected because of our circumstances, you know. So, you know, I'm a work in progress, you know, maybe we all are. Um,
Sure.
but but it's just wonderful, and I just can't thank you enough because you turned my life around for me. um and you know, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, really, because I just didn't think, I hoped it was possible, but I didn't think it was, to be honest, you know. And I think, I know that anybody can do it, absolutely anybody. And I think the key things were that I accepted, I accepted the TMS diagnose. I didn't worry because actually it's irrelevant what's going on in my back. I know that doesn't cause my pain. And an example is I have osteoarthritis in both thumbs. And that's a physio thing as well, because, you know, as a physio, you use your thumbs so much. They get called physio thumbs sometimes, and they do flare up. And I started doing what I do. And sometimes I do feel the leg again. It'll just suddenly, you know, be there. And, you know, I kind of look at it and I smile and I sort of say, right, okay, that's fine. And I think, no, there probably is something I need to address, you know, emotionally. But I just always say, it's okay, it's fine, and you're going to go, and that's okay. I'm not looking at you, and I'm not bothering.
Yeah.
So, and it goes, and I find it quite funny because it goes usually within minutes, but certainly within 10, 15 minutes. That's the longest I've noticed it. But it's just like, go away, shoot, you know,
Yeah,
because I see
that's
you.
huge. You know, I was talking to this patient about this earlier. I'll just shine some light on it quickly. Is that your prefrontal cortex really got going and was able to activate and believe and literally send a pretty strong message that was not fear-based, but
Yeah,
of like certainty, right? I'm smiling at it, so you're obviously not afraid of it. That said, good, shoot, go, you know, go away, knock it off. And you weren't bothered by it, right? You weren't scared of it anymore.
no,
And
no,
so that's
no.
why that message gets in and boom, it goes away in 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it's like magic. I mean, I have to pinch myself sometimes. You know, I actually go out sometimes and have a little walk simply because it's just so good. And it's like a child that's got a new toy. I just go out and think, this is wonderful. But with my joints, they flared up a bit in my hand. And I thought, and for a minute, I'm thinking, oh no, you know, they're going to. And then I thought, but hang on a minute, I can apply the same principles. So I did exactly the same, and I do that with my thumbs. I just do exactly the same, and I just say, right, okay, that's fine, but it's okay, and it's going to be all right, and I'm not paying any attention to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes think maybe I need to just sit with my emotions for a minute, and sometimes I don't. And it goes away in my hands,
Yeah.
and
It's
it's like,
amazing, isn't it?
wow.
Well, you know, the other thing too to highlight here, and I'm literally blown away every day because I'm a research geek and I love to read all the research around this stuff. But I like get so excited every day because I go, oh my goodness, the brain is so powerful and it can take us either way, either to get us out of pain or put us in pain and keep us there. And that's what you're seeing. It's like, oh my God, I can just make this pain go away in my
Yeah,
thumbs and my back. And
yeah,
that's your power of your brain, and you're using it for you. So it's such an amazing skill that once you
yeah,
have it now, you
yeah, yeah,
can never to use
absolutely.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I would say to people, you know, these are all structural, and you can actually you can get rid of it. You know, you can just allow it to go. You know, so it's not an impediment. You know, it's just letting go of the fear. You know, and just I accept something as it is, but I don't allow it to worry me or bother me. You know, and I think that that's key. You
Yeah.
know, and also I would say to people, you know, if you are in stressful situations, and a lot of us are, the way of the world, that still is not an impediment to getting better. And I'm an example of that
Right.
because, I just am,
Yeah, because
So I found,
you
I
have the
found
same
it,
stresses, right? That's the good thing to talk about. You have the same stresses happening in your life now
yeah,
you had back then, but you
yes,
have no pain now.
yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. So I found, accepting the TMS, the moving was really key. And I think that's so important because it gives you confidence and belief. And the emotional awareness is vital, because that's the key, isn't it, really? And also becoming outcome independent. Those are the things, because when I accepted lying in the bed in the middle of the night in 9 out of 10 pain. I mean, sometimes I actually held my headboard at the back, like you would when when you're in childbirth. It's that, it was that, honestly. And to actually lie there and accept that and be at peace and do the breathing, um, it's incredible how it just calms everything down, and the safety that you're obviously imparting is enough to actually just calm the whole system. So if you can get out of that by doing that, it's definitely so powerful. And I found acceptance in all aspects of my life is the only way to be, because it brings you peace no matter what. And that's the best way to live,
Yeah, that's
really.
beautifully well said. That's it. You I mean you've done an amazing job, like you said, in all those categories. So you work the mental category of how you're talking to your brain. You work the emotional category and the physical category. You get active. You relaxing your body, accepting. So you did all the aspects of mind body healing, right? And you put them into practice. So you're just another example of when you can do that, you can see success even in the face of stress that's still potentially in your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I needed somebody to guide me forward and take my hand, and you did that,
Hmm.
and you still do it.
Thank you. No, thank you. I know when people do need some help, to move forward,
Yeah,
I think it's important, to be heard to emotionally and to also access emotions. For some people, it's really helpful, right, to work with somebody, to have somebody there to
it's,
draw it out of you.
to be honest, it's invaluable. And I see people posting on some of the sites, that they're distraught and they've tried this and they've tried that. And sometimes I do say, in the comments, please see somebody, and I usually give your name, but and I must mention actually Dan Buglio, because his daily videos are absolutely fantastic.
You're awesome. Shout out to
And
Dan for
that
all the work
saw
he's
me through
doing.
difficult times. So I just must mention that because he's a terrific guy. But yes, I think and I think the other thing is that sometimes, I mean, a lot of people, at the moment, particularly, don't have a lot of money. And I think, there's no pressure from you. So, you can go at your budget. I mean, I don't know about medical insurance. I'm not going to go into that, but there are certain places where you have to actually sign up for 10 sessions or whatever, and that can be very difficult. But the thing is, any one session with you is of great value, and I think it's enough just to unstick somebody. And I was definitely stuck. And it really, it's just a case of actually being guided forward. And I think really most people need that help, or certainly a proportion of people. There are lucky people that don't, obviously, but
Right.
um, I'm so thankful that I was able to access that. Really,
Yeah.
thanks to the internet and Zoom, and
I know
you
it's
know,
a crazy world, right? We're communicating now and over Zoom, and you're in
yeah,
the UK, I'm here in San Diego, and we did this for song, and we feel like we know each other really well. Like you can really connect, and
yeah, yeah.
you don't
And
need
you've got your T-shirt on, and I've got my woolly jumper. because I'm in the
That's
north of
true.
Scotland.
It's sunny San Diego. I've got a t-shirt on most days of the year here.
And I'm not in the least bit jealous, you know.
Maybe that's why I get a lot of people from the UK as my patients, because they know I live in San Diego. And they go, oh, I just see some sun outside. It's making me feel better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know you've done an awesome job, Louise. You're just another testament to the power of this work, and especially like being a physiotherapist as well. I mean, like myself, I mean, to overcome, like you think about the messaging we have in our brains of what we've learned and how many years we've been practicing in treating others and telling all our patients structural messages for years, to turn around and go 180 degrees the opposite way for yourself is amazing. You know, it
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah. I mean, it worries me slightly that I was maybe giving people the wrong advice for a long time, you know, because now I'm completely different. And you know, when someone said, "Oh, I've got a pain," I'll say, "Oh, just get on with it and forget about it." You know, whereas before it'd be like, "When's it sore? And what were you doing? And you better put some ice on it or some heat on it." And now I'm the complete opposite, you know.
I know it's hard for me to be a real physio anymore because I give such very general advice and they're like, wait, you're not going to check this out and this and that. I go, no. They
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
you don't sound like you're a physio at all. Are you a physiotherapist? Because I don't talk about all the stuff
I
against
know.
joints.
Yeah. I'm exactly the same. And I met somebody and they said, "Oh, I could really do with you. I'm sorry you're retired. I've got sciatica." And I said, "So what's been going on with you?" And they said, "Oh, well, not a lot really. But their wife had died, you know, 2 months before." And I said, "Well, I think it's tied up with that." And they just looked at me as I was completely mad. But I knew that's what it was, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
you got a different set of eyes now and
yeah,
different set of
yeah,
ears. Like
completely.
when you hear people talk and you listen to their story and you line it up,
Hmm.
you go, oh my God, that makes so much sense. But you only know it after you've learned this stuff or you've been through it
Yeah,
yourself. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what we couldn't understand at the orthopedic clinics, you know, when someone would come in so disabled with a hip joint and there was next to nothing showing in an x-ray, and the next person would have this awful x-ray, you know, of a hip that was with virtually no joint left, and they were going about quite the thing, and you're thinking, this doesn't make any sense. And of course now it does, you know, total sense.
Total
Because
sense. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The understanding of it for me and then for you just multiplied over the years to where now I'm a complete different person in myself, but also how I look at things. And it's awesome. I got to think, you know, Dr. Sarno really was the one
yeah,
20 plus years ago for me to read his books
yeah.
and actually communicate with him. And he set me on to all this whole path. So he's the one, you know,
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
think.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, a wonderful, very special man, you know, and
Yeah.
his legacy is just terrific.
It's
Yeah,
multiplied, you know, he's got a family of people now that are
yeah,
all of us
yeah,
that are, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thanks for so much for coming on. Is there anything else you want to share or end with or say to people that are
Yeah, I
struggling?
think I've really covered everything. I just never thought I would get to this point, and I had severe pain and really quite bad disability. I covered it up, you know, because I felt as a physio it was dreadful that I was like that, you know.
Yeah.
But then I started to think, you know, look to the things that I could do and you know, just believe in myself really. And anyone can get here, anyone, you know, I truly believe that. You know, so I hope that people will realize that and believe in themselves, you know, and yeah, and reach out as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks so much, Lise. That's
yeah.
a fantastic story. And a lot of people are
And
going to,
thank you, Jim. Keep
yeah.
up all the good work.
Okay. I'll
Yeah,
keep going. I'm not
yeah.
planning to stop anytime soon. So
Good. Thank goodness.
just, just getting started, right? So yeah, thanks
Thank-
again so much for coming on, sharing your story, being brave enough to share it.
yeah,
And people
pleasure.
really
Thank
get a
you.
lot of inspiration
Yeah,
and
thank
hope
you.
and healing from stories like this. So
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, I hope
fantastic.
so. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a
Bye.
lot.
Bye.